aren't you?
An old mate of Luke's, actually. I'm just here in a personal capacity.
Luke drove to his house at 4:30, killed his family, then headed here to kill himself.
Aaron is a federal agent who's returning to a tiny country town that he grew up in, hasn't been there for over 20 years, to attend the funeral of his best friend. And when he gets there, we get the distinct impression that he's not welcome by anyone except for this old friend of his, Gretchen. And we spend the film understanding why that is the case. And there's been a death of a friend many, many years ago that he's been attached to in some way. So we have a potential crime in the past and a potential crime, a murder-suicide in the present, that Aaron is drawn into. But on an emotional level, he may need to solve both in order to be able to move forward. And that's the unique nature of the story.
It's all over town that you're reopening the investigation.
Who's here? It's the pigs.
You, of all people, should be minding your own business.
Boy, what are you doing back in our town, boy?
So you've heard some stories about me.
I've heard some.
So the film's been a bit of a phenomenon here in Australia, which, you know, is incredibly satisfying, and we hope that raises the interest in all the other countries for people to want to see the film.
Sometimes when this place feels kind of empty, and all of the breath fades with the light.
Think you're gonna get the truth in a town like this?
It was, because we'd come out of a pretty bad year, and along with Wonder Woman, we were one of the first movies to open here in theatres when the restrictions ended, and no one anticipated the kind of response that we got to the film in terms of its commercial success in amongst a restrictive setting. So yeah, we really pinched ourselves and couldn't quite believe the support for the film and people championing it. It was amazing.
There's 3 properties side by side around this lake. Luke's family's, Mel Deacon and Grant Dow's. Who's running the Murray property these days?
As someone who loves to read, it's quite reassuring. It's great having that well to draw upon, and when you commit to the project, feel like you really understand it more so than when you just have a script. Because I think you end up with an emotional attachment to the source material. And so I love Jane Harper's novel. It's a really special book and was a huge success. So obviously it's a really big advantage to then have the support of the author at the time of the release, because she loved the film, thank God.
So you at the funeral, you sticking around?
Yeah.
I was just closing up. Do you want something?
No, I'm okay. I just, my dad used to work here when I was a kid, so I was just reminiscing, you know?
Jane's novel really depicts regional Australia perfectly. And it's a regional Australia that we from the city can relate to, because it's not the outback. It's small country towns that fringe the big cities 4 or 5 hours away, which is how most of us experience the country. And in a drought, at the height of the drought, those towns are put under immense pressure, as any American town would be able to attest to. So it's an essential character to the story, because it adds to both the psychological and financial and emotional well-being of the people in those towns. And we were lucky enough to film at the height of the drought in the beginning of 2019, pre-pandemic. So we had everything there at our disposal to try and do that large cinematic, large-scale depiction of that story.
Mate, you're obsessed with it. It's a revenge trip.
We had one chance to hear the truth.
Under the Milky Way tonight.
واتش إت، ما تخليش حاجة تفوتك.